Hey everyone, just wondering how many of you have received a call from a parent or relative or sibling or perhaps a friend wanting to call you for help, and the request is very frantic, so they expect you to do it right away. My mom called the other day and she called about her alarm and how she was unable to set it properly and it was starting to beep. And it was an emergency, but she made it sound like an emergency, like many of her other calls, and she wanted it done right away. And the reason why she called me was because I was the responsible one. I've always been the responsible one, so she calls me for all the issues instead of calling the other kids. And I live in another city, thousands of miles away. So today I want to talk to you about how being the responsible one can rob you of your energy, peace, and time after the age of 50, and what we can do to mitigate this effect. And you know the thing about being the responsible son or daughter is that you are required to or expected to respond to everything quickly, even though it's not an emergency. But if you don't respond quickly, it's considered, well, you don't care for me, you are selfish, and all these things. And I think that when they do stuff like that, that you feel, I guess, pressured and guilty to respond to matters quickly, and that's why we all, go ahead and take care of things for people who are emotionally manipulative, and because we feel guilty when we don't, and we feel that we don't want confrontation because we're used to having that role as Gen X kids is to do what we're told and not to kick up a fuss. And I think that has a lot of negative effects on many of us, especially now that we're 50. We're starting to realize that we spent the majority of our lives taking care of other people's needs and basically ignoring ours. And when you get in a situation like this, one of my suggestions is to just step away, because if you feel pressure to do something, you might be entering into an agreement that you do not like or is costing you some time. Because if you start to feel pressured, and you make a decision quickly, you're basically giving up your right to make a decision for yourself. And people that pressure, responsible people, they end up making the decisions for you, which is ultimately not in your favor. Now, I'm not saying that everything has to be a win for you, but you have to make sure that people respect your time as well. A lot of these things take place during family gatherings. Maybe a parent might be requesting something, money, help with something. It could be friends as well. And the thing about it is, for me, I used to always try to take care of everything right away because I don't want to get into an argument or confrontation with the individual. But I find that since I started doing this, it's helped me a lot, and that is not to treat every request that they make as a confrontation. And that has helped me a lot because before I used to get really wound up because you start feeling guilty. You start feeling like you have to explain yourself if you say no, which I really did before, but I'm doing it a lot now. And I think a lot of us Gen Xers or people who are over the age of 50, they're really, I know I am. I'm tired of managing other people that are unable to manage themselves. And I think it's time for a lot of us to stop trying to be the quote-unquote rescuer of everybody that calls us, that needs something from us. Another thing that I like to do is I start sidestepping potential arguments or any arguments that potentially arise or disagreements, especially with family members and friends, because you don't have to engage if you don't want to. And I think a lot of us were taught that to be respectful, we have to stay quiet, and that's not the case. We don't have to, and we don't have to sit there and listen to somebody if you don't want to. And I think I kind of use this tactic actually with a former friend of mine who loves to argue all the time. And even though he's wrong, he'll always justify that he's right and find a way to spin it in a way that still favors him. And I thought it was kind of funny because I hadn't seen this guy for a while, and I went to go visit him, and once again, he loves to argue and debate and make him sound like he's the most knowledgeable and virtuous person in the world. And I remember we were debating some facts, and I had showed it to him, some of the facts, and he still denied it. And I said, you know what? And then he started questioning me and almost like questioning my integrity and the whole bit. And all I just said was, we'll see. And he kept on wanting to push initiate the argument further. And I said, we'll see. And that's all I kept saying. And you know what the funny thing was? After probably a minute of doing that, he slowly backed away. And then he started to get doubt that he was right. And he started to say, well, yeah, I guess it's part what we're going to find is you're half right and I'm half right. So they want to compromise. So it went from, you're totally wrong to half right for him and half right for me. So it's one of those things that the tactics that I've adopted lately. And the other one was just, just removing myself from the situation. I stopped talking to this individual. I don't want him a part of my life. And I told my brother if he calls, my parents' house, to tell him that I'm not interested in speaking to him. And I'm okay with that because I realized that, hey, I hardly see the person, and I make my effort to go over there and visit to see how they're doing, how their family's doing, and it turns into a big argument. I said to myself, well, I got things to do, and I'm a busy person. I'm not going to sit there and waste my time with this stuff that leads to nothing. I don't really care. I don't care who won the Super Bowl, whatever the case may be. I'm entertained by it, but my life does not revolve around these things, and it's crazy, when I see, sports fans in a stadium fighting at a game because one person's cheering for another team. Meanwhile, the players on the field, they don't give a they don't care. I can't put my head around that, right? I think there's more important things in our daily lives that we have to worry about. Anyway, that's going off on a tangent. But the last thing is, you want to remove yourself from the situation because you don't want to end up being a dumping ground for everybody's, their emotions and their problems and so forth. So, it's going to lead to more peace in your life. And I know for me, in my 50s, I'm loving it. It's great. I wish I did this sooner. I wish I knew about this sooner. So I'm curious to know, how many of you were the responsible one growing up? And are you still expected to perform that role? And are you still doing it? And what are the things that irk you about it? And what is it costing you now? Is it costing you the time? Is it making you more exhausted? Love to hear from you. Feel free to comment below. I try to read all the comments and respond to them. And if you like this channel or this video resonates with you, feel free to like, share, or subscribe. And feel free to check out my next video. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time.